Alright, I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be going over a game I played, I believe, 2 days ago, online rapid 15 plus 10 game. I wasn't really planning on making a video on this game just because the result was not particularly interesting. As you can see, we both played really well, and the game ended in a draw. And as you can see down here, we both played with a 2850 performance rating according to the chess.com game analysis. And I generally do not do that hardly ever. I was taking this game very seriously because I'm training for an over the board tournament, but a 2850 performance rating is nearly flawless. So I was very happy with the way that I played this game. However, I did not really think about the game all that much. I thought it was just a relatively equal game until I noticed that my opponent, his account ended up getting banned. So right after this game ended, in the following 24 hours, his account did get banned. I thought there was a possibility that he was cheating, but I had nothing to prove that, and I thought that we both just played a very good game. I'm not sure if he was necessarily cheating in this game, but the 2850 performance rating indicates that he was playing very, very well, and that's all that I knew at the time, and I was just trying to play the best chess that I could. So let's just take a look at this game and see how it went. And if he was cheating, then I feel even better about myself, just knowing that I held my own against someone that was possibly using assistance during the game. So let's just take a quick look at it. It's not a super interesting game, but I was very proud of how accurately I was able to play this game. So we have e4, c5, knight to f3, pawn to d6, d4, cd4, knight takes d4. So we angle for an open Sicilian defense. Knight to f6 is played, knight to c3, defending this pawn on e4. And per usual, I go for the Najdorf Sicilian, a6, one of the most popular lines, defending this b5 square, which can be a weakness in a lot of Sicilian lines. White plays bishop to e2. Believe it or not, this is one of the lines that gives me the most difficulty, and I generally play pawn to e5. So the main move here is knight to b3, and that is the line that I've had some difficulty with over the years. I know how to play against it, but for some reason I just don't score particularly well against it, and I think it's a very good line for white, looking to get a quick f4 in, castle in f4, and white generally develops and gets a pretty solid position. However, in this game, my opponent thinks for about 3 minutes and plays knight to f3, which is the second most popular move, and I play pawn to h6. So this is a very logical move, still book. The idea is to prevent bishop to g5 and taking out this knight, which is an important defender of this weak d5 square. I don't want this knight to become a problem on d5. I don't want bishop g5 and trading off this knight and then sinking a knight into d5. That could be unpleasant for me, so h6 is a good prophylactic move. Castle kingside, bishop to e6. Once again, looking to overprotect this d5 square, as well as develop my knight to d7 and maybe bring a rook into the game. Rook to e1 is played, knight to d7 is played. Pawn to a3 is a highly unusual move. I really don't know what the idea behind this move is, other than maybe to prevent b5, b4. I don't really think white is trying to play pawn to b4 himself, because that would weaken this c file, so this knight would be unprotected. So I don't think the plan is to play b4. I think it's more to prevent me from going b5, b4. But a3 is a little bit of a mysterious move. Bishop to e7 is played, just developing my bishop, and knight to h4. So in this position, I could consider playing knight takes e4 and trying to target this knight. But after knight takes e4, knight takes e4. So if we take a look at this, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes h4. This pawn on d6 would hang at the end, so I would not really want to do that. It's possible I could throw in this move d5 here, but things start to get a little complicated when I do that, and I figured all of that just seemed a little bit unnecessary when I could just castle, which is what I do in the game. Castle. My opponent plays knight to f5, and I simply eliminate this knight with the bishop. So in this position, I would really love to play pawn to d5 and get a big center, but I cannot do that right now because of this knight and this queen converging on this square. So I play pawn to b5. A couple ideas here. One, I want to maybe play knight to b6, knight to c4. That's one idea. Knight to b6 and pawn to d5 is another idea. But also, just gaining space on the queen side is never a bad idea. Bishop to f3 is played. Rook to b8 is played. I don't really want to play rook to c8. It's possible, but I was a little concerned about bishop to b7 stuff at some point, and I just wanted to sidestep that altogether. Rook to b8. Knight to d5 was played. Maybe a slight inaccuracy. I thought maybe bishop to e3 would be played, but knight to d5 right away is perfectly fine. I play knight takes d5, and after queen takes d5, knight to b6, hitting the queen. Maybe looking to play knight to c4, maybe looking to play d5 long term. Queen to e4 is played, and I play bishop to f6. And the main idea is to defend the pawn on e5 so that I can go pawn to d5 myself, and not give up this pawn on e5. Bishop to e3 is played, and I go knight to c4. So the engine calls this an inaccuracy. I don't think this is an inaccuracy. I think this is a good move. One, I'm looking to potentially take this pawn on b2. I'm also looking to potentially trade my knight off for this bishop to eliminate white's bishop pair. Both of those seem like very reasonable ideas. White plays pawn to b3, and I simply trade my knight for this bishop. F takes e3 is played, and I play a nice move here, pawn to d5. So this looks like it's just giving up a pawn, but after queen takes d5, pawn to e4 is played. So this is a double attack. I'm hitting the bishop on f3. I'm also hitting this rook on a1, and the queen is also hit, so the queens have to come off in this position unless queen takes e4 is played. So queen takes d8 is played. Rook f takes d8, bishop takes e4, and bishop takes a1. So taking stock of material, white has an exchange. White is down in exchange for 2 pawns, so white has 7 pawns, I have 5, but white has a bishop versus one of my rooks. I play rook to e8, bishop to d3, rook takes e3, pawn to a4, rook to e5, a takes b5, a takes b5, rook to a5, trying to target this pawn potentially, king f8, and then after just several more moves, nothing all that interesting, the game ends in what should have been a draw at some point. This is a very difficult position for me to try and win, but in this position, my opponent ran out of time, and I ended up getting the win via timeout, which is very unusual, especially for a 15 plus 10 rapid game. But my opponent was using a lot of time throughout the game on a lot of the moves. But at the end of the day, we both had a 2850 rating in a 37 move game, which is a pretty solid amount of moves. That is extremely rare, especially at the 2000, 2100 level. But we both played extremely well. I can't confirm or deny whether or not my opponent was cheating in this game or not, but I was very happy with how I was able to play this game, especially with this one tactical sequence in the middle with pawn to d5 and pawn to e4. So I thought it was an interesting game to look at. If my opponent was cheating, then I feel good about how I was able to hold my own against a cheater, but I was able to get the win by timeout regardless. But it was a very unusual game in the fact that my opponent was using a lot of time, and I was a little suspicious of some things, but overall just a well played game, and I was taking it as seriously as possible as I'm preparing for a big tournament coming up. So that's going to be all for this video, and I will see you guys next time.